Today, we're excited to have 811 Spotter joining us as part of our partner resource program. 811 Spotter is a platform built to help commercial excavation contractors manage 811 tickets across their crews and job sites. Today's session will focus on 811 ticket management and the operational workflows behind it. We'll also be hearing firsthand from ChargeEPC on the real world impact these changes of operational changes can have. Before we hand it over to our speakers, a quick note on how to participate today. If you have questions during the presentation, please use the Q&A panel at the bottom of your Zoom screen. That's the best way to ask your questions and ensure they are seen and addressed. Questions may be answered live or responded to directly in the Q&A panel. Please note that the Q&A and the chat are two separate features. So questions submitted through the chat may not be captured. Be sure you're using the Q&A option specifically. We have two speakers joining us. First, we have Daryl Visser, Vice President of Operations and Corporate Services at ChargeEPC, who will be sharing his organization's firsthand experience. And leading today's presentation is Mark Critchman, Director of Product Marketing at 811 Spotter, part of Irth Solutions. And with that, I'll hand it over to Mark.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'd also like to thank the team at USA North for partnering with us and hosting today's webinar. For those of you who I have not had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Mark Critchman from Irth's 811 Spotter. And for many contractors, the USA ticket management process has evolved from really a compliance task into critical operational responsibility. Every project depends on accurate and up-to-date information, and the way that information is managed can have a direct impact on safety, productivity, and project execution. So later in today's webinar, you'll hear how ChargeEPC transformed the way that they manage USA tickets and the operational lessons they learned along the way. So let's get started. Here's our roadmap. We'll start by talking about why USA tickets have become such an important operational responsibility for contractors, along with some of the common challenges that we see across the industry. Then we'll spend most of our time hearing from a contractor about what they experienced, what they learned, and what changed after modernizing their 811 ticket process. We'll wrap things up with a short demonstration, and then we'll leave plenty of time for questions and any discussion. All right. As we all know, every excavation project starts with a USA ticket. It may seem like just another compliance requirement, but in reality, it's the operational foundation for everything that follows. Every crew assignment, utility response, field verification, renewal, and ultimately every shovel in the ground depends on that ticket being created and managed correctly. Today, we're going to explore why effective USA ticket management has become such an important operational responsibility for contractors, and what leading organizations are doing differently to manage it. You might not know that every year across the US, approximately 44 million excavation tickets generate more than 500 million utility responses. Now, these responses arrive through email, PDFs, paperwork, and ultimately the paint that you see on the ground. Every one of those responses has to be tracked, coordinated, and managed by contractors. That is a tremendous amount of information flowing through the excavation process every single day. Now, once all that information is in motion, all the responsibility shifts to the contractor. Because when things don't go as planned, it's the contractor who pays the most through project delays, unexpected costs, damaged relationships, and sometimes serious injuries. That's why it's so important to track and verify all this information before anyone breaks ground. Now, contractors are great at moving dirt, getting work done, but juggling emails, spreadsheets, PDFs, and paint markings, that's not the job that anyone signed up for. So, how are leading contractors managing this differently? Let's find out. Now, when we talk about good here, we're not talking about software. We're talking about a better way to manage an operational process. Good means all of your ticket information lives in one place instead of being scattered across inboxes and spreadsheets. It means everyone from the office to the field is working from the same information. It means routine tasks like ticket renewals happen automatically instead of relying on someone to just remember them. It means that before anyone breaks ground, it's a quick and easy process to verify that the right information is in place. And ultimately, it means your team spends less time chasing paperwork and more time doing what they do best. Now, that's the ideal. But what does that actually look like in practice? Well, let's look at how Charge approached it. Now, everything we've talked about so far has been about the challenge contractors face every day. But rather than hear more from me, I'd like you to hear directly from a contractor who's lived it. So I'd like to formally introduce Daryl Visser, who leads operations and corporate services at Charge EPC and brings nearly 2 decades of experience in utility construction project management and operations leadership. Hey, Daryl.
Mark, thanks for having me on today.
Of course, thank you. So let's start with a little background. Will you tell us about Charge, your role, and what ticket management looked like before Charge began modernizing its approach?
Sure. So, ChargeEPC, we are a gas and electric utility infrastructure contractor operating predominantly in the California, Oregon, Washington area, but really spread out all over the West Coast. Um, we self-perform all our own excavation, right? And that can look like different forms of trenching, bell holes, potholing. We do horizontal directional drilling. So naturally, with the type of work we do and the volume of work we do, we have a massive amount of locate tickets, which makes managing our 811 ticket accuracy a key component of our business. As far as my background, as you mentioned, I've been in this industry for about 2 decades working on utility construction. Have held various operational leadership roles with both Charge and other companies in the industry. And I currently lead operations and corporate services for Charge. I'm very interested in, operational excellence. How do we serve the field teams out on the project sites that are doing the work that supports our companies? So tools that can improve safety, productivity, and project outcomes are very near and dear to my heart, and I'm very interested in seeing how we can, like I mentioned, best serve those doing the real work out in the field. As we continue to grow here at Charge, we're implementing tools like 811spotter to help us support that operational growth, geographical growth, to make sure that we can scale with the increased level of throughput that we're going to have. So as far as how we were managing our tickets before, in a summary, it was very manual process, both in the tools and the way that we were handling it. So, we were obviously using the systems available through 811, and then we are USA North, and then we would had some spreadsheets where we would kind of track that, and we had someone who was managing the tickets across the entire company. As volume grew, right, that becomes a limit in our scalability. Um, so it also created some bottlenecks where you have field teams reaching out to this individual to get updated information. And that just, yeah, creates some bottlenecks, some slowdowns, creates the opportunity for inaccurate information across the system.
Thanks for that. And sorry, I interrupted you. So, the Before we look at the results, let's spend a few minutes talking about what actually changed. And looking at this, talking to you and reading the case study, it really feels like the journey was really more than implementing a new tool. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, as we were scaling up, right, it just made it difficult to manage the volume that was happening there. Um, we had delays on our project sites with inconsistent visibility to positive responses. You mentioned the various methods of communication that can come back, so that created some delays. We have over 1,000 tickets active. We found that we had lots of tickets that were just still in the system, and we weren't, actively closing them out and actively managing them. You'd miss renewals from time to time. That obviously impacts the field teams out there as well.
There's a human side to this that I don't want to overlook, and that is you have a central ticket air traffic controller who is near and dear to our heart. And his experience with this process, I mean, basically it radically changed overnight.
Yeah, so his role, it actually allowed him to spend less time, actively managing the tickets, and bring value to other parts of our business. So a lot of the process that he was handling through our manual spreadsheets, through communicating with the field teams, giving them updates on the tickets, um, that is now automated with the 811 spotter tool that was implemented. And so, yeah, he's able to use his skills to bring value to us elsewhere through the organization.
So his manual work really, really transitioned into more of a shared visibility and shared load across the organization. Can you talk a little bit about the impact that you saw there?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the biggest aspect is the real time information that's available to the field, right? They weren't having to reach out to this one central point. They can, right through the user interface on 811 Spotter, they can see, accurate information of their ticket status, the responses, um, and that allows them to better plan their work, allows them to have that real time, accurate information, or see what is holding up that ticket, who hasn't responded, what issues there are. And be able to identify that quickly and be able to no pun intended, dig into it and figure out the problem and get that taken care of so they can continue on with their work.
I haven't measured I guess I probably should have measured your field use here coming into this conversation, but I did go out and train your folks in the field. So it really felt like having a shared visibility sort of led to the next, really 2 points on this slide. That is connecting the field and the office so that everybody had the same information, and it enabled your team to go from, sort of a single path through your ticket air traffic controller into, more of a proactive way of managing this process.
Yeah, yep. Just, I mean, really having that data available in the field at their fingertips is super valuable. And I mean, exactly what they're seeing is the same thing that the field teams or excuse me, the office teams are seeing as well. Um, so yeah, they're that consistency is very valuable.
All right, so we've talked about the challenge. We've uh, heard how you transformed the process. This is about really the result. So at onboarding, we jointly discovered almost 1,500 active tickets, way, way more than anyone expected. Um, the real story here, in my mind, isn't necessarily the reduction in tickets. It's your team's uh, visibility and actively managing the ticket inventory, getting to really, what the getting to really what they needed to focus on in terms of the active work. Can you walk us through what happened and what your folks discovered?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, this graph shows a couple of things. The one that you're alluding to mostly there is, yes, when we kind of looked at all of our tickets once they were uploaded into the 811 spotter system, we found some old tickets that needed to be closed and needed to be taken off, right? Um, and so you can see that in the, going from about 1,500 down to, 900 or so. We cleared out a lot of things in our system that either didn't have visibility to, we weren't actively watching like we should have been. So that provided a lot of value in and of itself. Um, the other thing that this graph shows, just from a x-axis on the timeline perspective, implementation of this was very quick and adoption of this was very quick as well. The field teams latched onto it, saw the value, were able to get familiar with and utilize the system very quickly. And, to this day, they're very happy with it. Um, so yeah, I mean, within 4 or 5 weeks, we were actively using it and enjoying it.
All right, so I mean that's really a lot of the power of the increased visibility and the collaboration that
Mhm.
that you all experienced. Let's see. So we we talked about um, Charge's experience and what changed operationally. I'll spend a couple minutes showing what the tool looks like day to day. Um, At Charge, everything starts with a centralized ticket list. Instead of searching through inboxes or spreadsheets, every USA ticket lives in one place. Everyone from the office and the field is working from the same up-to-date information. Um, as Daryl said, project managers in the field know what's active, what needs to be verified before the field teams start their work. And really, the most important piece to this is that everyone sees the same information. Routine work like renewals and updates and the like are automated so that the team spends less time chasing paperwork and more time managing the work that they do best.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, the quick summary of our before and after is, before we were manual, disconnected, and it wasn't all in real time. And after now it's centralized, as you mentioned, get the real time information, and you have some automation in it. So yeah, that's our quick summary.
All right, well, let's take a look. So here is uh, the Charge's 811 spotter. We've got the tickets laid out on a map. You do have a fair bit of work going right now. What we'll do is focus in on one project in Paradise. This project has 6 tickets that are active. You can look at them on a map, and then what we'll do is zoom in on one set of tickets. Now, the power here is in both the visibility and the context sensitivity. So I can click this button, it'll tell me exactly where I'm standing, so I know whether I'm in this ticket to the north or the ticket to the south. Looks like you've got some overlap here, and so that's a good thing. You know that your site is covered. Once a ticket is selected, so I've got this ticket selected down here. I see all the ticket details. These are who the ticket is assigned to, what job it's organized under. Tickets are owned by jobs, they're not owned by individuals. All the information from the call center that was entered originally is down below. If you ever need to see the ticket confirmation PDF, it's here for you at the click of a button, both on the web tool here and mobile. And so the general um, workflow is I roll out to site, I click this button, it tells me exactly where I'm standing, so I know which ticket I'm in. I take a quick scan down the utilities. So these are the utilities that are out on this site. I can see who marked, what the latest information is. We've even got a measurement of how responsive this utility is to the damage prevention process. So you've got some pretty responsive utilities here. If I need to get a hold of, for instance, Comcast, I've got their contact information here. I can get at them at the click of a button. And really, um, very important here, I can get their response history going back through time. And so we've got all this history here so that folks in the field can, basically pull up the app, get the context that they need, and then get out of this and get on with their work. Most of our customers are in and out of the system in 30 or 45 seconds a day. And so, really, it's about getting this information from the field perspective. It's about getting this information quickly and then getting on with the work. Now, these are all your active tickets. I'm going to go into the ticket list here. Now, what we're also doing is we're keeping your expired tickets. So you've got basically 4,200 expired tickets that are just sitting in the system um, as an archive for you in the event that there are any questions in the past. So just picking on an older ticket, I can look at that response history going back through time. So I mean, we're back at 2023 here. So if there's ever any question from um, a quality standpoint or what your folks were doing out on site, um, it's all here uh, waiting for you and available to you. All right. So uh, what we're trying to show you here is really about, that one thing, and that's giving contractors the power and the visibility that they need to actively manage this process so they can dig safely, stay compliant, and keep projects moving. Oops. I think that was my uh, transition to the next slide. So before we move into questions, I'll leave you with this. The goal really isn't better ticket management, it's better outcomes. It's safer jobs, better communications, and giving your teams the information they need before anyone breaks ground. So that's what leading contractors are focused on. And we hope today's discussion gives you a few ideas you can take back to your own organization. So with that, let's open it up to questions. As Matt pointed out, you can use the Q&A panel that is located in your Zoom screen. Oops, go back to. All right, well, so I got one question here, and it's for you, Daryl. You sort of covered it, but it's about how the field picked this up. Can you talk about um, how was uptake in the field?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, overall, it was very quick. When you look at implementing various softwares in the field, sometimes that can go well, and sometimes that can take a very long time. But in this case, it did go well. They appreciate the mobile application. The user interface on it is convenient, it's easily understandable, provides good information for them, right? So they love having access to that information, kind of as you showed, right? Boots on the ground, on the job site, seeing which ticket they're under, what information they've received about that ticket, as opposed to just getting that, PDF sent from the field of their USA ticket, right? So no, they have adopted it quickly, and they appreciate the immediate information they were able to get right there on the job site through that.
I didn't show your project list, but the system is integrated with um, your time and production system.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, connecting it there to so we utilize HCSS software, right? So it allows the records for the tickets to be connected with a particular job number in our system, right? So we have, you showed a little bit of the archiving, right? But that way we know exactly which ticket is under which job. I think you can even filter the system to where a particular foreman out there on the job site can, instead of having to look at the 800 tickets that are open, they can see the exact ones that are open under their particular project. So that helps with getting to the information that they need quicker than having to sift through a whole bunch of irrelevant information to them.
Um, Thanks for that. I'm just scanning the next question.
Did we get any Q&A through the chat yet?
Yeah,
There might be one that popped in.
yeah. So the question is, um, two, two, two questions are for Nevada. So first question is someone actually. So the system is available in 18 states. I'm sort of answering both in one. So the 811 spotter is available in all of California, Oregon, so Washington, and certainly Nevada. So I'm kind of sticking to the West, but it's in 18 states across the country. So yes, it's available in good old Las Vegas, Nevada. And then second question about um, Nevada. Nevada dig law is different than California. That's sort of some of the how the sausage is made and the trick of expansion. And so the question is, can we automatically renew tickets in Nevada? And the answer is yes, we can. We can take the ticket to the multiple refreshes to the second revision, and then you have to redraw the ticket. That's all managed inside of 811 Spotter. Um, all right, got both of those um, questions answered. So question about the 811 Spotter territory. So you can go to the website, 811spotter.com, and there's an FAQ on all the states where we are available. There's also case studies that are available there, including the case study um, on ChargeEPC. All right. Well, we are at the 30 minutes. Um, gr great, great question. Um, so, uh, the sorry, the one last question, and that is, how will 811 Spotter cut down on questions from locators to supervisors or superintendents in the field? And so um, those questions are happening for a couple of different reasons, I'm assuming, and that is just clarification of the individual site. And so the benefit with 811 Spotter is they have all the information in one, um, basically in the palm of their hand. And so any questions about the ticket uh, are available to the 811 Spotter users that are in the field. All right. As I said, we are at the 30-minute mark. And so I am going to um, wrap up. So I'd like to thank everyone for spending part of your very valuable day with us. A special thanks to the good folks, the great folks at USA North for hosting today's webinar, and to Daryl and the team at Charge for really being willing to share their experience so openly. Real world stories like this are really incredibly valuable. So if questions come up later, you'd like to continue the conversation with me, my contact details are here on the screen. You can also go to 811spotter.com to read the case study that we have on Charge and company in Nevada. So thanks again.